You are the most high-profile Western politician, a former foreign minister and prime minister of France, to have spoken out on the war on Gaza, which you called the greatest historical scandal. Very simply, what compelled you to add your voice to this issue?
Well, there are many personal reasons. I was born in Morocco. My family lived in Algeria. I went through decolonization. I was raised in South America, lived in the US, in India, and traveled extensively around the world. And I really could not stand looking at such a suffering, such a waste in the Middle East. During the 7th of October, a tragedy for Israel, and every day since for Gaza, now Lebanon, and who knows elsewhere. And I keep asking myself, where is it going to end? And it is true that at first you can convince yourself that Israel had many reasons to restore deterrence, many reasons to secure its own population. We can understand that. But why destroying the whole Gaza? Why killing children, women? Why this determination to destroy schools, universities, even cemeteries, the whole identity of the Palestinian people? And that's where you understand that you are in front of an escalation that nobody does control. And I cannot accept the fact that the world leadership, neither in the Arab world, neither in Europe, neither in the US or elsewhere, can stand still and not do anything. We know that the war on terror should not be fought through only force. We need political objective. We need hope at the end of the day. And there is no hope until today.
We know that the destruction has been total. According to the UN, Israel has killed more 5 to 9-year-olds than any other age group in Gaza. It's been an attack on doctors, on journalists. What do you think Israel's military and political objectives are in this case?
I think the common justification of Israel is both security and retaliation towards a terrorist movement, which is Hamas. I think anybody looking at what's going on in Gaza sees a huge disproportion between the retaliation and the threat. Even the former Minister of Defense, Yoav Gallant, says that Israel has reached its objectives in Gaza. So why the war is continuing? Is it because Benjamin Netanyahu wants to make a gift to Donald Trump as a new president and wait a couple of months more and not give this gift to Joe Biden? Is it because there is some kind of a hidden agenda pursuing the destruction of Gaza and the possible colonization of Gaza or the displacement of the population? And that's where I want to remind every leader of the world. International law is for everybody. Even for the most developed country, there should not be double standards. We should not forget that at the core source of all this violence, there is something that happened in this region, which is the whole population of Palestine having to leave their homes. I remember my friend Mahmoud Darwish, the poet, telling me his feeling when he has and his family to leave everything, 700,000 people leaving their homes with no possibility of going back. This feeling, the Nakba, the catastrophe, is very much in the mind of the Palestinian, as much as for the Israelis, the Shoah, the pogroms of the end of 19th century is still very present. These trauma are here. But this injustice is today on our shoulders. There will be no peace. There will be no security in this region until we can erase this injustice and recognize a Palestinian state. And this, everybody has to understand it. Donald Trump, as much as the European leaders, as much as the Arab leaders, some people think that in the hidden agenda of some of these countries, they are happy to see the liquidation of terrorist organizations. Yes, but nobody would be able to liquidate, to erase the Palestinian requirement for justice.
In your speech at the United Nations Security Council in 2003 against the Iraq War, you warned then that the credibility of the West was at stake. Is Prime Minister Netanyahu picking up where the US left off after 9/11?
I think that Benjamin Netanyahu is very much using geopolitics to his own personal benefit. He has very much in mind the idea that for Israel it would be a lot easier if it could legitimate what the current Israeli government is doing every day in putting forward the risk of a clash of civilizations. Of course, if you say there is a risk of civilization and Israel is at the forefront, Israel is fighting, as Benjamin Netanyahu says,
and
fighting for Europe.
Herzog as well.
Fighting for the US to defend civilization. But how can you defend civilization not respecting humanitarian law, not respecting human lives, not respecting the necessity of justice? Civilization is two things. It's an inheritance of culture. It's an inheritance of duties. But it's also the ability to take the lessons from history. And the lessons that we should take from the last 25 years, since 9/11, the war on Afghanistan, the war in Iraq, the war in Libya, and so on, is that there is no way you can erase terror just by force. You need a political perspective. And I'm still waiting every day for somebody to stand up in Israel and say, okay, we have obtained what we wanted. We have erased the Hamas. We have dismantled the Hezbollah. Now, let's give a perspective to the Palestinian people. Let's make sure that Lebanon will be able to reconstruct. Let's give hope to these people. You see, the best proof of madness of this region is that, as today, so little empathy in Israel for what's going on in Gaza.